Hi Aries, welcome to your first half of February 2017 general tarot reading. It's Raina here. So yeah, I was just thinking about this full moon, which is actually a lunar eclipse happening in February 10th to be exact. And this is going to be in your fifth house of love, creativity, children, and hobbies, home businesses. So with lunar eclipses, we're talking about something that may be leaving, but it's a full moon. So I would think that there would be plenty of fertility. So this is the house of conception, conceiving children. So this may be a very powerful time. If somebody has been struggling to have children, maybe you're going to get pregnant at this time. And just in terms of any kind of creative ideas and projects, that could be very powerful. And romantic relationships. Now, there may be people who were dating and you decide, I'm done with this person. But I would also maintain that there could be situations where you were maybe even platonic friends with somebody, and it turned out that you realized how much you actually had feelings for them. So it could be, I think it could be romantic. I don't think it has to be endings. I think it can actually be something taken to the next level, but very intense in that sense, because it is so, powerful. So we'll see what happens. Supposedly, the effects are not as pronounced if you don't have personal planets within degrees of that particular eclipse. And in this case, it would be around the 22-degree mark of Leo. So even if, let's say, you had the moon in your fifth house and it was at 3 degrees of Leo, it might not be that big of a thing. There's that card again. Wow. Why do I just keep getting that card? Over and over and over and over. Okay, I'm going to pick an additional card just because the double card as the outcome. Okay. That's not... The double card isn't exactly how I want to end things on. So, it's funny, when I picked the first card, I was like, oh, wow, because the first card, which is the overall theme, is the Four of Cups. Now, I have actually heard or read a different interpretation of this. Typically, what we see with this is dissatisfaction. And even I would dare say ingratitude, because the person is being offered something, and this would be of the emotional variety, and they're not interested. One possible interpretation for personal relationships is someone is in love with you, but you're not in love with them, and they're offering you the love, so you're getting love, but it's from the wrong person, and this type of thing does happen, doesn't it? It's like getting two people to be aligned emotionally is not always the easiest thing in the world. It's like you love somebody else, they love somebody else. But this could be, when people are feeling discontent, a lot of times they project it onto a particular person or situation. And really it's emanating from themselves, It's really your own choices in your own life itself that isn't giving you what you want. So instead of really looking at it, it's about blaming other people for not providing you with this great stimulation, whether it's emotional stimulation, or whether it's physical stimulation, or whether it's intellectual stimulation. And but I did read that the Four of Cups could be about a stable emotional relationship. So in other words, maybe wanting a significant other that you can have consistency in emotion. If you are in a dramatic relationship with somebody who maybe they have like ups and downs of their own, that they're never like stable emotionally, and you're getting worn out by them, that could possibly be what's happening. I tend to go with the first interpretation, that somebody is not feeling moved by whatever their circumstances are. And this can also be in terms of their job. Okay, so being in a job that you don't feel passionate about is what I'm getting at in a long-winded way. In the recent past, we have the Ace of Cups. So this is an offer that was given to you of an emotional variety, of the emotions in some way, the emotional variety. So it can be a job offer, though, to tell you the truth. But it's a job offer, or even within yourself, you realize an opportunity that you have to start something new. But it's going to be with something spiritual or healing, water cups kinds of job things, rather than just for the money. Okay. And it's going to be something that gives you that emotional connection that you don't currently have. With relationships, it can be that you met somebody and fell in love, and that is kind of emphasizing the dissatisfaction you have in your own current relationship, like your marriage. This could involve water sign individuals, either the one that is new or the one that is past. So Cancer, and I'm thinking that very strongly because of the angle to Aries, but it could also be, and also it could be a Scorpio or a Pisces individual. And water sign people, just looking at sun signs, water sign people with Aries, that's always going to be a little bit tricky because you're a very blunt sign and you're not going to coddle people. A Cancer person can think you're absolutely heartless and, that you walk all over people because you are very blunt and you're just very direct. And you don't, it's like, you're like, suck it up, buttercup. You're not, you're not going to be very, enabling of people who want to feel sorry for themselves. You're very action oriented, and you're not, you think that life is about, battles, because you're ruled by Mars, the planet of war. So for you, it's more about, you're on the battlefield. Sometimes you get knocked down, you get back up. You don't sit there and, be a little wuss and just cry because you're hurt. So you don't have much overt sympathy for people in that sense. You have a big heart, but you're not going to placate those types of people, and that can kind of get under people's skin because they feel like you're just this brute, and you're not a brute at all. But you know how people react to others. They see things through their own lens. So that can always be one of the things that is a source of conflict between you and a water sign individual. And what's coming in is the the Six of Pentacles, or maybe this is accompanying the theme. And this could be about people's, wow, that was a jalopy. So it's really about the idea of fairness. You see he's holding scales. Sometimes it can be if somebody is in divorce proceedings about who gets what, and who's going to pay out the other person, things like that. So that could just be like mundane concerns if you are, or maybe that's just on your mind. Like, if I do get divorced, I'm not happy with this person, but if I do get divorced, are they going to clean me out? Am I going to have to pay everything because I'm the one asking for the divorce? So it could be just those practical issues rattling through your mind, or you could be dealing with a situation of who is in charge in the relationship based on money. There may be some kind of power issues around that as well, and that could be contributing to the malaise that you're feeling, because you may be dealing with the person you're with may be an earth sign. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn have that very prominent in their signature, even if they're like a fire sign or something. And if that's the case, you're going to have to realize that these people view the world through that lens. So they tend to be very concerned about tangible goods. And if that exasperates you, then maybe you have a mismatch, and that may give you further clues that was not a good choice. Maybe you were attracted to someone and got together with them because you had great sexual chemistry. And this is not uncommon, because I think of Aries as a sign of very high libido, generally speaking. And like Taurus is the sign right next to you, for instance. It's an earth sign. So if you got with a Taurus, for instance, you may have felt that, oh, wow, man, we really sizzle, but then you had nothing to talk about outside of the bedroom, that kind of dynamic. The higher message is, again, this card I keep getting, the Six of Cups. So soulmates. Right underneath the Four of Cups is, I think, kind of a guide to getting closer to who your soulmate is if you're confused. A person who leaves you feeling indifferent is not your soulmate. The soulmate vibe isn't even like, you notice these are cups, it's not wands, which are representing the fire element. And that can be more like of a passion and, even a sexual chemistry, but also just like very passionate, creative, dynamic relationship. The cups are all heart. Okay, so when you connect to somebody on an emotional level, and it's not that initial euphoria of when you fall in love either. Some people get confused about that too. Not that, but it's that feeling of you just belong with that person, and it's like, it's hard to explain, but it fits just like a piece of the puzzle. And when you're feeling emotional dissonance, as represented by the Four of Cups, it shows a lack of alignment, being unaligned to that person and to yourself. And really it begins with yourself, because that's how you attract your soulmate. And also the card of the, I'm trying to think, for the professional relationships, the Four of Cups is also suggesting that whatever you have always been interested in since you were a child may point to what your true vocation is. Okay, and so we get, we go to guidance counselors in high school, or just parents telling us, whatever the outside influences are, read books on stuff, and get further and further away from what we have always come here to do. And it doesn't have to be the soul's mission entirely. It could just be something that you're really good at and that you've always been really good at. And that can lead you to having a more passionate and emotionally connected dharma, or path, or even just what you do for a living. So the advice, okay, well, I forgot to do this, because this is the card that crosses you. This is a challenge card, the Justice card. Again, if some of you are dealing with or contemplating getting divorced, you may feel like you're going to be the one paying through the nose, as evidenced by this Six of Pentacles. You may feel like it's going to be unfair. If you're a man, and this is probably not something I should even go there, but I think that it does happen. Men who want to see their children, and they end up paying all this child support. That is so much more than what they can afford. I realize that, it's not, you know what, I'm not even going to go there, because I don't really know too much about that, and I don't want to. I think that there are a lot of women out there who have to go it alone, and I have much respect and compassion for anybody who has to raise a child and support a child on your own. It's got to be very difficult. I just respect both genders, and if a man is wanting to be a part of his child's life, then I think that they should be. But I do think that everyone should participate and be, have the desire to take care of their children. But I'm talking about in terms of, how the divorce proceeding is perceived. Maybe you feel like you're going to get a raw deal, the short end of the stick, because I was, I have conversations, and sometimes people, even women, are afraid that they're going to have to pay out to the man. So it can work either way. But I think even more so on a mental level, you may feel like it was unfair done to you. Maybe you feel like somebody misrepresented themselves in the relationship, and you feel like you got in under false pretenses or something like that. And if that's the case, I think a lot of times Aries people tend to be too rash when they act, and this is part of the reason why those kind of things happen. So you have to own your part of it if that is true for you. Otherwise, getting rid of this feeling of injustice is very helpful for pushing forward, because it can keep you in a state of resentment. If you do feel like you were taken advantage of, or that you will be taken advantage of in a courtroom, just keep your eyes on the prize of what you want in your life. And when I picked that first card of the Four of Cups, I was thinking, this is Aries' worst nightmare. And by the way, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to you, that you're going to feel these feelings. These are general readings. Some of the cards may totally relate to what's happening to you, and some of them may be totally in left field, because it's impossible for anybody to pick cards that are going to resonate with 100% of any sign. And so take it for what it's worth. But if you do feel that you have been not enthusiastic about life recently, then this is something that is going to feel familiar to you, and is going to be, it's not going to feel threatening. And my point is that there are things that you can do to get to that happy place again, if you feel like things are just in a rut, And one of them is to let go of resentments and, you know, start planning your future, because you're very good at that. You're very good at looking into the future and not wallowing in the past. It's just that you're human, you know, and if you've been through some kind of a disappointing experience, it's understandable. The advice is, or what's coming in is the Knight of Wands. This could be somebody coming in who is a fire sign, particularly Sagittarius. And this person is much more similar in their personality to you. Obviously, that's a generalization, but it is a fellow fire sign. This person can be a catalyst for you to get back into that state, because you're a natural catalyst. So this person can mirror that, or this could be a facet of you getting back into the game, finding that enthusiasm for life again, perhaps after you have gotten rid of a situation that was dragging you down. It could be even work-wise, and you're going to have much more enthusiasm for life and you know, creative ideas for what you want to do, and you're going to feel much more self-empowered. But it could be a person who is more of an affair that you have, and you know, you're the type of person that you can handle affairs better than other signs. You know, a Cancer individual doesn't do well with one-night stands or short-term relationships, because they tend to, you know, be very concerned about having a family and, you know, constancy. You're more adventurous, so this may be someone that you meet. I was going to say, for some reason, I wanted to say traveling somewhere, probably because Sagittarius rules the 9th house of travel. So this is a very explorative type of an energy. So maybe if you are getting out of a long-term relationship, you're just going to play the field. This would be somebody playing the field. And the outcome, I did pick the Devil card, so I'm picking another card. Interesting. The Devil card as an outcome is saying that, you know, watch out for self-indulgence and for getting into these patterns of addictive behavior. Like for Aries, that would be, I was going to say recreational sex. Sex that is done for gratification, but not necessarily anything more. You can get away with it to a certain extent, but after a while, if it becomes a habit, that's when it starts to oppress you. And if you've been in a monogamous relationship, especially if it's been for quite a while, you may feel like, you know, now I'm free, now I can sow my oats. And this is telling you to watch out for that tendency to go at, you know, this energy to go too far in that direction, because it'll end up biting you. This card connects to Saturn, and Saturn is all about discipline. And so you may be rebelling against being disciplined for some reason. You may be like, I want to go out there and just go on the, you know, go crazy with, you know, the physical side. But watch out for that. And actually, so I did pick another card, and what did I pick? The Hierophant. Now, one possible interpretation of the Hierophant is marriage, even conventions of society. So what it could be saying is, be careful about that indulgence streak, because your ultimate aim is to have that committed partnership. Aries, to me, I don't know if I've ever read this, but I believe it from my observation, I think is content to be monogamous as long as that person can keep them excited, interested. See, this was a card of disinterest. So sometimes, you know, Aries is, you know, an overgrown child, and I'm saying that affectionately, who gets bored very easily. So someone to keep you and to sustain your interest, must sustain your interest, and your passion, must have that kind of passion themselves, or else you're out of there in whatever way that happens. I always go back to Warren Beatty. He was known as the biggest womanizer, and he's an Aries. And, I'm assuming that he's monogamous now because we never hear about him anymore. Maybe he's older too, but still, look at Mick Jagger, case in point. Another fire sign, a Leo, but we always hear about Mick Jagger having another child, having another girlfriend, and with Warren Beatty, he's with Annette Bening, and they've been together for many years, and she's a Gemini, I believe. So she keeps him on she keeps him on his toes. Not on her toes. That would be quite painful. But yeah, so you need that as well. And when you get it, you're good, and you can have it. Also, the Hierophant refers to looking at things from a spiritual perspective. It's hilarious that we have the Devil and the Hierophant next to each other, because the Hierophant reflects the clergy, and the Devil is what the clergy is always warning us against. So I think that you're going to do really well. I think that you're finding out what you don't want. You may have new love coming in for you. And good luck to you, Aries. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great first half of the month and enjoy that lunar eclipse in your 5th house. Take care. Bye.